Hi everyone, I'm Wins. In my last video, I introduced the gameplay and basic rotation for Bamboo Cat Dust. I mentioned one point: when Dust equips Bitter Seasons and pairs it with Phantom Rally, it can reduce the enemy's physical resistance by 20 points. As a support, this provides a damage benefit to the entire team. So, how much of a boost do these 20 points of physical resistance actually provide? Today, we're going to run a live test. For our testing method, we'll use the most common one from the CN server, the affinity damage test. Unequip all gear sets and innerways that can trigger special effects. Also, unequip all gear that adds a tribute attack. Change the arsenal to general. After that, use light attacks to repeatedly hit the enemy, until an affinity damage hit occurs. Since affinity damage is always determined by maximum attack, as long as the panel stats remain unchanged, the affinity damage will be consistent every time. We remember this value. Then, use the umbrella to hit 5 layers of resonance. At this point, the target's physical resistance is reduced by 10 points. Note that enemies take increased damage while in the soul break state. Wait for the debuff to disappear before testing damage with light attacks again. Alright, a light attack just triggered an affinity hit. We record this number, and then divide this number by the previous affinity damage. It's approximately equal to 1.0495. So it's easy to conclude that the benefit of reducing 10 points of physical resistance is about 5%. Opening the panel, you can see the explanation for physical resistance. Physical resistance is the stat that counters physical penetration. Combining this with the results from my previous video, 10 points of physical penetration is roughly equal to a 5% gain. Therefore, it can be concluded that Bamboo Cat Dust carrying Bitter Seasons provides a 20-point physical resistance reduction benefit. That is basically consistent with 20 points of physical penetration, which is approximately 10%. Another rule is that as physical resistance values increase, they can offset even more physical penetration. So in future higher level raids, when facing bosses with higher resistance, the benefit of reducing 20 points of physical resistance will be greater than 20 points of physical penetration. That said, damage composition in this game doesn't just consist of the physical part. There is also the attribute attack part, and the reduction of physical resistance does not affect the attribute attack portion, so the benefit will likely drop to 6% to 7%, adding the effect of Bitter Seasons, reducing physical defense. The final benefit Bamboo Cat Dust brings to each teammate is roughly around 8% to 9%. Therefore, the damage of a Bitter Seasons Dust player, as long as it is higher than 75% to 80% of the average of other DPS players, is not considered dragging the team down. In addition to the above, under very low latency conditions, Dust has a certain chance to throw the umbrella one extra time in each rotation, reaching 14 times. The following 1-minute test comes from my friend, Xgale, demonstrating the 14 umbrella Bitter Seasons Dust.